Welcome to A Dog's Devotion, the heartfelt podcast for every dog lover. Here, we celebrate the unbreakable bond between humans and their dogs. Each week, we sit down with inspiring guests who share powerful stories of love, resilience, and devotion. From the joy of adoption to the heartbreak of loss and the healing that follows, this is a space where we honor our best friends, the ones who leave paw prints on our hearts forever. Welcome to A Dog's Devotion. Today, we're taking you on a journey to a place as magical as its name, the Kaleidoscope Desert. Nestled near Joshua Tree, this one-of-a-kind sanctuary brings together art, nature, and compassion. It's a space where rescued animals roam freely, where desert landscapes are transformed into open-air art, and where visitors, whether for a day or an overnight stay, find peace, healing, and inspiration. The Kaleidoscope Desert is more than a sanctuary. It's a living, breathing testament to the beauty of harmony between humans, animals, and the earth. Vanessa, we meet finally. How are you? I'm so excited to talk to you because I think what you have put together is incredible. I mean, you've got a 5-acre sanctuary near the Joshua Tree. You've got rescued animals. I'm a huge animal lover. This was started in honor of my soul dog Max, who passed away. So when I found you, I have to talk to her and see how you started this and what was the inspiration. So thanks for joining me. First off, let's talk about how this all started. What inspired the creation of the Kaleidoscope Desert?
Very organically. Like we were never, I was never like, oh, I'm going to move to California and have an animal sanctuary. Although I would have loved to do that. I just don't think that I would never have thought that was possible. But the way that it happened is that, so I'm a New Yorker and the New York winters are pretty harsh. So we had started spending our winters in Los Angeles. And we were in Los Angeles when the pandemic started. And Los Angeles went into strict lockdown and we did not have a place to lock down because our housing had fallen through. So we thought, and we're like, we're not going to fly back into Brooklyn right now. That sounds like, not a good idea. We don't know if the world is ending or, what's happening. So we threw everything in a car and we drove out to the middle of nowhere in the desert and got a little homestead cabin and just said, all right, we're just going to lock down until we know what's happening. And then we essentially never left.
So how did you combine the rescued animals and the art and then open your space up as an Airbnb?
So after we had said, basically when we were first here and the pandemic was raging and no one knew if it was the apocalypse or not, every time we had a bad day, we would take a dog out of the shelter. And at some point we had enough dogs that we were like, I don't think my neighbors in Brooklyn are going to appreciate the level of noise we're going to make. So that's when we started looking for places out here. We're like, you know what? We're desert people now. And we started looking for places and we found this property, which was surprisingly affordable because it's in the middle of nowhere, more or less. Although I will say we are 30 minutes from Palm Springs and like 15 minutes from Joshua Tree. So it seems like the middle of nowhere, but it actually isn't. It's in the center of everything.
You being a New Yorker, what a change of pace from New York to the middle of the desert.
Yeah, it's awesome. I don't think that we would have had the, guts or motivation to move away from the city without the pandemic basically, throwing us out here. And here we are. We bought this property and we weren't like, oh, we're going to have an animal sanctuary or anything like that, like a slippery slope from one animal to the next. I think that we were definitely like, let's live for today and hope it all works out. And I also discovered, and this I didn't know beforehand, that neither myself nor my partner will ever say no to an animal.
You're an animal lover.
Yes. I mean, from the time I was born.
Me too. Yeah. Me too. I mean, I'm a dog person through and through, and there's many days where I'd rather be with my dog than to be with other humans. That's how I think.
Yes. Animals are nicer than people, at least to people. Animals themselves are assholes as well to each other.
And I bet you see all kinds. So speaking of the animals, I know you've got some rescue dogs, but can Can we talk about the other animals you have and where you got them?
We have, let me see, we have a lot of goats. The goats mostly come to us when they need a new home. So someone can no longer keep them or is retiring and wants to get rid of them so they can travel. And so we'll take when someone or someone reached out to us on Instagram and said, "Hey, I have a baby goat. It's not doing well here. Will you take it?" So we have a bunch of goats. Um, and goats are hilarious because they're basically dogs and they'll follow you around everywhere. Really wonderful. We have a number of rescue pigs, and those pigs come from anywhere from, a pig rescue that needed more space or you know, families getting rid of them. One of our pigs was found on the streets in LA and they
In
could not find
downtown
the
LA?
rightful owner. Yeah, it was just, yeah. So 'cause we've got two mini cows, and those came from a petting zoo that was shutting down, and she really wanted to keep them together. So we were able to do that. Obviously chickens and ducks and that sort of thing. We have two mini horses that we took out of the kill pen in Texas. Texas has very rough animal laws, and that's also how we ended up with our zebra. Is that so? In Texas, you can like go to a safari park and shoot at animals and stuff like that. And this guy came from one of those parks, and we don't know why he ended up at the horse auction, but often they just change up their inventory or for whatever reason they're not happy with it. So he ended up at a horse auction. And the biggest issue there was that he was a baby and they showed a video of like a really large man riding him, which is
No.
a problem because one, zebras can't be ridden, like their back isn't like a horse's, and definitely not a baby. So people started tagging all the rescues being like, please, someone jump in and get this guy so that it doesn't end up somewhere where they're just using it for money and it's not living a good life. So that's how we ended up with our rescue zebra.
Oh, thank goodness for you guys.
And then recently, we adopted an ostrich named Ryu. His father, his human father, was moving to Texas and had put up an ad about him on Facebook saying, "Hey, does anyone want this ostrich for meat or as a pet?" So we were like, oh no, he's not going to end up as meat.
No, definitely not. So you've got quite a range of different types of animals there, and they all get along together and they all roam freely.
They all roam freely and they, for the most part, get along. There's always drama. I mean, they call it a pecking order for a reason, you know?
Right, right. And what do the people that come and stay there and visit you say about the animals? Because they can obviously interact with them all the time. That's part of the whole experience.
I mean, I think that because they're free roaming, and I don't think there's another place like that anywhere that I've heard of. I think people understand immediately the sort of like magic nature of the place, and everyone's energy is really attuned to the animals. For the animals, we say if they come up to you, you can interact with them. But if they're not coming up to you, this is their house. They don't always have to interact. They lead their own lives. So that's how
Right.
we manage that.
Okay, that's great. Now, the sanctuary blends so many elements, Vanessa. You've got the art, you've got the rescued animals, it's a retreat. How did you bring all these passions under one umbrella? How were you able to do all that?
As I mentioned, it was very organic. And so, we got blown by the pandemic winds out here. And then we were like, well, we're desert people now. So we found this property and then it had an extra little house on it. So we're like, oh, we can rent that out and that will help to cover, our expenses. And at the same time, we were like, oh, we have 5 acres. Why couldn't we get a goat? It was a lot of like, live for today. Like, we don't know what's happening in the world. We don't
Mhm.
know where this is going. We're just going to do things we love and hope it works out. Um, that's sort of how we ended up. And the art thing is very natural to us because we're both artists. And we have a lot of artist friends, even out here, who came and made stuff. And then little by little, the animals added up. And little by little, we started opening new places to stay, and that's how we got here.
I think it's such a great idea, and I've been reading what a lot of people say on Instagram, and it's all positive. You know, everybody wants to come and stay. They're all animal lovers. They think it's the best thing ever. And there's actually a couple of people that I know from Toronto who have messaged on Instagram saying that they were coming to stay and how great it was. So it's really great to hear that. So I know that visitors can come for a day, a day visit, or they can stay for a night or two. What is the whole experience like for them when they come and visit overnight or for the day?
I mean, it's very open. So, if you come overnight, then you choose one of the places to stay in. We have, basically everything we have here is a found object. So it's either from, estate sale, a yard sale, Facebook Marketplace, OfferUp. And each one of the places to stay has a different kind of theme that was built around the found objects. So you can kind of pick and choose what you want to experience first. And then a lot of people come back to stay in a different place after. And you basically are roaming around. We have a natural pool that you can swim in. The zebra always likes to drink out of it, so you'll just be swimming and the zebra will come up, and I think that's a pretty cool experience for people.
Yeah.
And as I said, they're free roaming, so you'll be going about your day. You can be doing any number of activities here, and just a lot of people just they think they're coming to Joshua Tree and they're like, we're going to go to Joshua Tree and we're going to hike, but then a lot of people come here and never leave. 'Cause they're like, "Whoa, this is crazy."
Right. So what makes it so crazy? What is it that gets people?
I think seeing all the different animals in peace, living in peace together
Mhm.
is, um, is really surprising for people and a very magical experience. You can sit there on your front porch and like an emu goes by and then a mini horse goes by and then, 7 dogs run by or, whatever it is. And it's just, you can never be bored ever.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine. I mean, for you and your partner to live in this space all the time, it must be so magical for the two of you.
It is, it's amazing. And we're always extremely grateful for having the opportunity to live this life, even if it's just for a little while. It's
Hmm.
just, who gets to do this?
Not too many people.
Not too many people.
No. Does your art rotate? Do you change the installations or is it always the same?
I would say we just add on. We're always like, every time people come back here, they're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you have this done and this done and this done. Because every single dollar we make goes into taking care of the animals and building things that will further support and build revenue to rescue more animals. So we're
Is
just a mile a minute, constantly building. It's a 24/7 job, but we love it. People come here after their animals have died or human if they have friends or family who have died and they come here to center themselves within this. I mean, it's a bit like a Garden of Eden.
the desert itself is a very special place. I know that. I love Palm Springs and the Joshua Tree and everything. It's magical. And then you throw in some really cool art and some cool faces and the free roaming animals and not just dogs and chickens, but zebras and emus and turtles and people come there to heal. Do they come for an extended period of time to get that full experience and to leave a different person, a healed person? Or can they do that in a couple days?
I think that everyone who comes would like to stay much longer, but of course, these days nobody is able to take extended time away. We do have some people who come for a week, but a lot of the times people are just like, even if I could just get a day in, is it gets them outside of whatever's happening. Also, there's no question that connecting with animals is healing. You're just giving love and receiving love fully without any caveats or
Mhm.
parameters. We have a saying we use: when in doubt, find a snout.
Oh, that's so good. I've never heard that before.
Well, I made it up when I was in a very challenging place and I was like, okay, just go find a pig and hang out.
I hear pigs are pretty cool and they're very smart. Yeah. Oh, so what kind of community has grown around the Kaleidoscope Desert, and how do people support the sanctuary's work?
So there are a bunch of ways to support us. One, come visit. Two, come for a tour. We have a new shop with some really cool merchandise we've made. That's another way. And donations, of course. We take in donations. So obviously, we can always use the support. Having an animal sanctuary is not like a lucrative venture.
Mhm. What are your dreams for the Kaleidoscope Desert in the next few years?
Well, if I had unlimited resources,
Mhm.
we would there's land behind us that's about 7 acres. We would buy that. We would, take on more animals. We are about to start a really interesting sound experience in a beautiful, um we we built absolutely astounding building that houses this sound experience.
Did you always wanna have I know you said this all started organically, but it sounds like and you've mentioned you had some challenges in the past for yourself. Did you always have a dream of wanting to start something like this, or it just happened?
I always joked that when I retired, I was gonna have a Chihuahua sanctuary. Um, and it was just a joke. It was like, "Oh, yeah, well, now we'll do the Chihuahua sanctuary." I definitely did not think that it was possible, and I definitely didn't see a way forward to do it, but everything sort of fell into place. Like, it was really just like I sort of felt like I was receiving things to be able to do this work, even if I don't believe in that, it felt like things kept presenting themselves for this to be come to fruition.
So how has it changed you?
I mean, I'm much happier than I used to be. I get the benefits of being in nature all the time, which is hugely healing. There used to be these people you would meet and they'd be like, "I love what I do." And I was like, "Who loves what they do? How do you get to do that?" And now I'm one of those people.
It's pretty amazing when you do what you love. Now, do you and your partner obviously you work there full time. I mean, this is your home. Do you ever get a break? And if you do get a break, who comes and takes over and watches over everything?
Almost never get a break. We are 24/7. It is really hard for us to leave because we have so many animals and we have people and we have them mixed together and, want just feel like we want everyone to be um, safe and comfortable. That we have left 2 times in the past 5 years. One was for my sister's wedding, and I had a team of 3 people come to take care, do different jobs around here. And then we also left for Christmas last year, and again, I had a team of 3 people. But
Well,
it's
it's good.
nerve-wracking, and it's
It
it's
must because you're not there to oversee what's happening.
totally, it's nerve-wracking, and I would really like to get to the place where we could hire enough people so that we could, take a 2-hour drive and go some
You rescue all kinds of animals. What advice would you give someone who's thinking of getting a pet, whether it's a dog or a farm animal?
Obviously, I would say to rescue because there are so many amazing animals out there that need homes. And then I would say, knowing that you're rescuing, it takes about 3 months for the animal to be comfortable. And in the beginning, there are maybe a lot of challenges, but those things go away, those things mellow out. So I would say, like, if you get an animal,
Yeah, and people you have to have patience, I think too. A lot of people get adopt dogs from rescues. I mean, that's where my dog came from. He came from Mexico and I got him in Calgary, Canada, but you don't know their past. You don't know what they've been through. And they're obviously have challenges because they could have been through an abusive situation. So I think, another thing, people really have to be patient and give these animals a chance to decompress and realize that they're safe and they're in a loving environment finally.
totally. And I would also say, for the most part, the dogs we rescued have been great from day one.
Mhm.
There are people are always like, "Oh, I don't want a dog that has behavioral issues," and I'm like, the shelters are full of perfectly good dogs. They're full of purebred dogs. It's insane out here. So there's no reason. And furthermore, getting a puppy is a risk because you don't know how that puppy is going to grow up to behave. You can treat the puppy great and it still has serious aggression problems.
Mhm.
So by getting an animal that's in a rescue and knowing something about their current behavior, you're in a much better you're set up for
You must want to rescue all the animals. I know that the shelters in LA are overcrowded and it's a horrible situation. I mean, you must I
I
wouldn't be able to go.
I would like to rescue every single animal out there. That would
Mhm.
be my goal. You asked, like, what are the dreams? Like, having a way to rescue all the animals, or rescue more, or figuring out, sometimes I think about how do we systematically find a solution to this because you're never, it's a drop in the bucket. It improves the lives of some animals, but it's not going to take care of the overall problem. So I think about those kinds.
Course, but you also have to realize that you're doing what you can, and even if you rescue 5 animals, you're rescuing 5 lives, so you're changing things. Yeah, so you have to feel good about that. You must go to bed every night with a smile on your face. It must be such an euphoric feeling.
Say it depends on the day I had.
Do you have any problems with people that come and stay with you ever, or you find that for the most part pretty people are pretty good?
People are pretty respectful. We have there I would say the two challenges we have in general are funding and dealing with animal death because it happens all the time. And that's a really, really hard thing. And I would say our challenges in terms of people, as I said, most people are very respectful and they understand the energy, but there are a few people who come and they don't. And so you've got to sort of usher them along to be in the right place and be super respectful of the animals and have mostly it's like having calm energy. Yeah.
And how can people find you? I What's your Instagram account? And if anybody is interested to go and visit, which they should, the Kaleidoscope Desert, how can they reach out?
But these days, if you want to find us, we can be found on Instagram at Kaleidoscope Desert and kaleidoscopedesert.com. Those are the main ways to get in touch with us.
Okay. And as I mentioned right off the top, you do daily visits and then people can stay overnight and you do walking tours. So does somebody have to book that in advance if they just want to go on a walking tour? Because I know you have them at certain scheduled times.
Yes, for sure, people have to book in advance, because obviously it's a big production to manage this place, and so we can't have random people showing up and walking around and so on and so forth.
Right. Which actually is a good question. Do people just show up at your door, decide to go for a drive and end up at your doorstep and go, hi, hey, can we have a tour?
We very purposefully do not publish our address because that has happened in the past, and this is where I live as well, so it's like my home. I don't want people just showing up and that sort of thing. So that has happened rarely, but we very, very purposefully do not publish our address.
Right. Okay. That makes sense. Because I would think people going for a drive, they randomly see something and go, okay, I want to go there. I think it's amazing. And thanks so much for speaking to me and opening up your space and saving animals and showing art. And, it's a really cool idea. You've done something pretty amazing. Yeah. Sometimes when things happen organically, it's the best way for them. The outcome is you couldn't ask for anything better.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been great talking to you.
Yeah, you too. And you know what? I hope to get out there soon and visit myself and explore the art and be around the animals and go swimming in the natural pool. I think it all sounds so cool. Thanks, Vanessa. Well, thank you for joining us on this colorful journey through the Kaleidoscope Desert. It's a reminder that when we open our hearts to animals, to art, and to the land, we create spaces of healing not only for them, but for ourselves. If you're ever near the Joshua Tree, consider visiting this sanctuary and supporting their mission. Until next time, remember our devotion to dogs, animals, and nature can change lives. This is a Dog's Devotion. I'm your host, Carla Bosacki. Thanks, Vanessa. Okay, bye bye. Thank you for joining us on a Dog's Devotion. If today's story touched your heart, share it with a fellow dog lover. And remember, whether they're by your side or watching over you, our dogs are our greatest teachers of love, loyalty, and living in the moment. Until next time, give your pup an extra hug and never forget the devotion of a dog. I'm your host, Carla Bosacki. Thanks for joining me.